While protests and ousters in Egypt have grabbed the world's attention, the civil war in Syria grinds on. Last month, it was confirmed that chemical weapons were used, crossing President Obama's red line, the act that would force the United States to intervene. So far, that intervention has only included giving the rebels small arms, but some Oklahomans are saying even that is going too far. A group of lawmakers and civic leaders spearheaded a rally titled Syria-Not Our War. And in a press conference for the event, they called for less military intervention and more humanitarian aid.
We've been down this road before, and we think it's ill-advised. And we're hoping that our rally will spark a movement in the United States. So let's just hypothetically say that the Syrian rebels succeed. Well, what kind of government is going to arise there? Do you think that government's going to be a government that's going to be friendly to the United States? I don't think so.
In the past 50 years, the United States has gotten into 3 major conflicts that have escalated to become costly and regrettable. Regardless of the intentions going in, they all exhausted our military and drained our treasury. How many today could say about those wars they were well worth the price? Now the U.S. is arming some of the rebels in the Syrian civil war, just putting our toe in the water, you might say. Our position is that the U.S. must not become militarily involved in Syria, period.
The so-called wise men, advisors of Presidents Kennedy and Johnson, such as Dean Rusk and Robert Strange McNamara, were so smart, in their eyes at least, that they believed they could make South Vietnam a showcase for democracy in Southeast Asia. Fast forward a few years, we had the wise men like Bill Kristol, Donald Rumsfeld, and Dick Cheney, who influenced the Bush administration to try to make Iraq a showcase for democracy in the Middle East. What I would suggest is time to get rid of the wise men and adopt a new policy, a conservative, non-interventionist policy, the policy of enlightened ignorance.
We're looking at an array of options where there are no good options. Syria presents one of the worst humanitarian crises that we've seen in this century. Over 90,000 killed in the civil war, many more refugees, and many more that remain in Syria caught in the conflict and their lives in jeopardy on a daily basis. There is no evidence and no indication that giving the various rebel groups and then trying to distinguish between the various rebel groups as they're splintered among themselves, that giving them small arms will in any way mitigate the humanitarian crisis that's unfolding before our eyes. In fact, in the short term, it's very likely that arming the rebels will only exacerbate the humanitarian crisis.
Many times there are noble intentions getting involved in war. But the fact is that the means used are usually contrary to those ends. Many times the end we're looking for is humanitarian help or peace, but we're using violence, the tools of violence, in order to achieve those goals. And I, for one, don't believe that using those means will be able to achieve those goals.